This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, we are at 890 East 2nd Street in Jamestown, one of the Resource Center's facilities in our community. Standing with me is Steve Watterson. You can hear the crowd noise around us. Steve is the Community Relations Director at the Resource Center. Steve, hello.
Hi, Dennis. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What are we doing? Why have we brought Share the Vision to the TRC Community Health Center?
We're here because as we're recording the show on Monday, June 3rd, we are holding our annual general membership meeting and election. So we thought, I don't know that we've done a show on this before for this event, but we thought we would do it. So we'll be getting a recap of how the Resource Center did in 2018. And we'll hear a presentation on our clinical services, and then we'll find out who's going to be on our board of directors for the coming 2 years and who is the new board president. Mike Goldman has been the president since 2016, and how our board officers work, they serve a year at a time. The terms are 1 year, and you cannot serve more than 3 years in the position of president. So by our bylaws, Mike has to step down, but he's done a fantastic job in leading our organization through the last 3 years.
And I understand that he will continue to be a participant, a member of the board of directors at the Resource Center, but will not be the president for the next term.
Correct, yep.
Let's pick up now on the ceremony here that's just about to begin.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for coming to our annual meeting. We're here in our nice new community health center. I say new, refurbished. So I'd like to take the opportunity. I'm Mike Goldman. I'm the president of the board of directors for another 45 minutes or so. So I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we are now going to have a little speaking of the Community Health Center. We have a little presentation on our clinical services. Heather, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Heather Brown. I'm the Assistant Executive Director for Clinical Operations, and thank you for taking a small peek into our clinic site tonight. This is just one of our 4 major sites. As you also know, we operate the School-Based Health Center, MJRC, Lakeshore Drive, in addition to some of the work we do in clinic services and the day hab programs.
Let me just interrupt here long enough to say that MJRC is the Michael J. Raymond Center in Jamestown. Lakeshore Drive refers to a Resource Center facility in Dunkirk. Some of the comments of Heather Brown and others on this program today have been edited for purposes of time.
We currently have a professional staff of over 100 individuals between all of the doctors, dentists, psychiatrists, social workers, on and on and on, physical therapy, occupational therapy, but over 100 professionals on staff. One of the other statistics that I like to point out, between all of the different clinical services, primary care, dental, behavioral health homes, we served last year 10,519 patients. So that's a big number. Chautauqua County, what's our population, 130, 140,000? Just about 200 people daily enter this location between all of the services when we have a full complement and array of providers. The project here at the Kappa Building, and we're happy to showcase parts of it tonight, from the facade work that got done a few years ago to the updated waiting room. If anybody remembers, this waiting room was chopped up, 3 waiting rooms, 3 entrances, 3 front desks, and now there's enough room to sit 75 people. And you don't have to sit on top of each other, and everybody can kind of have their own little area, and it's pleasant to be here. We still added the skylights, and it's been helpful to work on the integrated workflows. As you may have noticed on the signs tonight, too, and I don't know where they got, but we received a lot of support from the different foundations. KeyBank, Sheldon, Lene, Chautauqua Regional Community Foundation, and OSHI, just to name a few, and we're really grateful to be recognized by those organizations. Other things that we're proud of that you'll see rolling out in our marketing materials is the dental lift. If you went back into the dental area and saw the very first operatory, we have an overhead lift. And this is very unique. Individuals a lot of times who utilize wheelchairs have to receive their dental services in the wheelchair. It's not ideal for them. It's not ideal for the dentist. So we're very proud of that, and we'll be rolling that out in our marketing. So just to really wrap up, thank you for coming to see everything here tonight. I think our future is very bright. Our team is dedicated, and we're prepared to take the clinical opportunities into the future to continue to support our core population. Our goals for 2019 and 20 and beyond are to continue to stabilize our workforce, continue to grow the patient base, to ensure that we have the required pathway to financial stability, and be ready to meet the needs of the OPWD population in the managed care transition. Thank you.
Now you're stuck with me for a few minutes. It has been a pleasure and a privilege to serve as your president. When I took over the position, my priorities were to create financial stability, improve staff collegiality, all while maintaining our quality of care. And I am happy to report and to say we have done so. The credit for this goes to our board of directors, our staff, and our consumers. By working together, you have all made it happen. I want to thank all of you for your efforts. I want to thank my wife for putting up with me for 42 years, believe it or not. But there are three individuals who have had a major impact on my life and in my being the president of this board of directors. It's been a wonderful experience. I'm even going to say it's almost been a life-changing experience. So, first of all, I need to call Ms. Phillips up here. The great thing about Selena, first of all, as you all know, she really runs the organization. I mean, that's really the way it is. She always has a smile on her face. She always is willing to give me the answers. Up here, dear. And she's also always there willing to help me out and do what I need to do. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I do consider you my friend. So, there's your hug.
Selena Phillips is the Executive Administrative Assistant at the Resource Center. You'll also need to know that Denise Jones is the President and Chief Executive Officer.
Hi there, Mrs. Jones. Number 2. You know, I sat here and said that, you know, we were able to move into financial stability, the collegiality and with the staff, and that's all really on Denise. That's good, though, but that's when I say that. Again, once upon a time there was a meeting in there, and I was there basically saying things, and she knew exactly. I mean, she just had this radar about her with me that she knew exactly what I was saying, and I've had a great time. She's always available for me when I needed anything. We've always been able to sit down and discuss things. The great thing in the board is this way too, is that nobody's afraid to speak their mind, and that's always important as you move forward. So I have been very lucky, and I have been very blessed to be able to have Denise as my CEO and consider her a friend. Thank you, dear. All right. Number 3, Jen Yost. You know, as I have said, this has been a life-changing experience. And the reason is I have gotten to know and to see how we treat our consumers. And one of the pleasures I have was to get to know Jen. And she's on our board of directors. And as you know, that's a awful, you know, when you get elected and you're a consumer and, you know, it's scary. But to watch the way she has improved and the way that she has matured and the way she is now completely involved and immersed in the board. So I have two two little stories I have to tell you. The first one is we were at the TRC golf tournament, not this year, but last year. And Jen was helping them do the putting for the participants, not the Special Olympics putting, but for the participants. And I came around, and I said, Jen, why don't you putt for me? And she said, they won't let me. I said, who won't let you? They won't let me. Well, of course, I'm thinking I'm the president of the board, So I say to her, Jen, who's the boss? And she said, I am. So, Jen, here we go. This is for you. And it is a sweatshirt or a fleece. To the right it says Jen Yost, boss. You're welcome. You're not done yet. What? Now, my other thing is last year at this meeting, again, the president was supposed to give a speech, but I don't give speeches. So I asked Jen to tell you, what it was like at the Resource Center, and she did. And this is probably the most amazing moment of my life. But she came up, she gave her speech, and you all enjoyed it. You gave her a standing ovation. And, and she had done me a favor. She comes up to me after, I may not make it through this, but comes up to me afterwards, gives me a hug, and says to me, thank you for making me feel special. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what it's all about. Thank you, dear. Good. That's the job. That's my job. And that's it for me. So, we will move on to a little more droll report. Oh, I'm sorry, Craig. We have the treasurer's report, Mr. Colburn.
Can't you put somebody else up there behind me? Holy cow. How do you follow that act? It's hard to make numbers fun.
Yeah, I know. Well, good luck. But if anybody can do it, you can.
Yeah. Okay. I like to usually start out by giving you the bottom line, so I will. We had a good year. It's a good financial year for the Resource Center, primarily because we were successful in collecting some reimbursements for past costs in previous years. And on the other side of the coin, we did pretty well in terms of operations. So when Mike said a little bit about trying to get the place stabilized, I think we are stabilized. So I'll give you some goody numbers that go along with that story. The revenue this year for 2018, was $79 million. Our agency expenses were $76.5 million. About 60%, $46 million of that was personnel, staffing, and benefit costs. So big chunk of our costs are the people that serve our clients, which is what we're here for. Total expenses included $14.8 million of cost of goods sold for the manufacturing operations and $5.3 million in occupancy costs for our buildings. So the bottom line for 2018 was a net surplus of $2.3 million, which is favorable to what we had in 2017 of $83,000. Not a bad change. So of that, that's about a $2.2 million improvement. Our award from OPWD for some of the past cost adjustments that we received was $1.3 million of that. So the big discrepancy in income is not necessarily because of all of the operations day to day. Most of the big jump is collecting what we should have been paid in the past, but that's okay, except it's a one-time kind of event. But we were still pretty solid in terms of operation. And so we're in pretty decent shape for this year. I'm happy to say, compared to some of the years past, it's nice to feel a little better about how we're doing. And I'd like to say two other things that weren't on the list. We were the first chapter in history of ARC New York to get out of fiscal oversight without a merger. We got in that oversight business in some of the past problems, but we never could figure out how to get out because they never let anybody out before. So our staff was very competent in figuring out how to get that done, and they deserve a tremendous amount of credit, and I think we've set the standard for the state of New York about how one gets out of oversight when you're in. And the second thing that I think it's important to convey is in this year's, we have an outside audit, as any organization this size would have. There were 0 audit adjustments. And for an organization of this size, and particularly this complexity, for our staff to manage the financials and the books good enough that there's absolutely no adjustments, I think is phenomenal. And it's important for you to understand, I guess, at least me, I want to convey the excellence of our staff is to be commended. And I thank them very much. So, thank you.
Denise, I guess you're up.
So I'm just going to give you a really quick overview to let you know how we did in 2018. First of all, for our mission-related outcomes, to summarize, we supported 181 individuals who were working in the community, which was up from 169 in 2017. We assisted 78 individuals in starting a job. Our allied industries manufacturing operations provided average hours of work per week of 21.6, which is up a little bit from where we were in 2017. The allied average earnings per hour for those individuals employed stood at $11.01, which was up from $9.37 in 2017. We can attribute some of that to the minimum wage increases, but at this point, I think this is the first year that we actually exceeded minimum wage. In terms of fiscal intermediary services for individuals that are living on their own and actually hire their own staff through the Resource Center, we serve 60 individuals. That was up from 18 in 2017. We are working with 148 community-based employers, which was up from 130 in 2017, and this number continues to rise. We're up over 150. I think it's 154 today that we're working with. We have 29 individuals that we support through self-directed plans. That's up from 18 in 2017. In terms of our quality indicators, we're highly regulated, especially from OPWDD. That's the Office for Persons with Developmental Disabilities. We had 54 operational surveys in 2018. 78% of them were deficiency-free, which says a lot because they cite every little thing. We have to dot our I's and cross our T's with everything that they do. So 78% were deficiency-free. This was up from 28% in 2017. I'm also pleased to report we're running at about 83% in 2019. Our infections and hospitalizations were down for the individuals that live in our residential facilities, despite increases in the number of individuals served. Our occupancy has increased, yet hospitalizations and infections have gone down. Our allied industries manufacturing division had 0 customer returns, 0 customer complaints. They were 96% on-time delivery, and their direct labor ratio averaged 80.7% individuals with disabilities on their hours. The benchmark is 75%, so we are well above that benchmark. Craig already talked about our Article 78 court decision, which yielded over $1.3 million of funding that we actually had to sue New York State to get. January of 2018, we got the decision back from Judge Sedita in federal court that we were in New York State court, that we were awarded that decision, and actually the cash will come in. I'm pleased to report, Kelly just reported to the board that we're expecting the cash from that on June 29th of this year. So after a few years of fighting for that, we have received that reimbursement. We were the first chapter removed from ARC New York fiscal oversight. Not an easy process. There's a number of chapters in ARC New York, and we're the first that came out not out of a merger or going out of existence. We actually were able to do that on our own. And part of the reason we were able to do that was our fourth consecutive year of positive operating results. In 2019, we are on track to, once again, have our fifth consecutive year. I've been with this organization almost 30 years, and this is the longest streak of consecutive positive operating results we've had in my history with the organization. In terms of 2019, this is the information I shared with our management team at our retreat back in the beginning of the year. These are our ideal outcomes where we want to be. We want customers to choose the Resource Center because we were known for excellent customer service and high quality standards. It's not just enough to say that. We need to know what that is evidenced by. And we want that to be evidenced by customer and employee retention, increasing customers, patients, and applicants, engagement in our organization, that's involvement, membership, which are all members, and that's why you're here today, so thank you, advocacy, and personal recommendations. Survey and regulatory validation. We're surveyed, as I said earlier, by a lot of entities, so we get that validation that we're doing things of high quality by having our surveyors come in and validate that we are doing what we should be doing. Our second area of focus is individuals will seek TRC employment and current employees will not consider other opportunities, as evidenced by increased employee retention, increases in the number of applicants, the success of new employees, and the number of internal promotions. The third area is efficient and effective use of resources, which yield a strong balance sheet and fund balance, evidenced by all cost centers operating within budget, more than 50 primary reserve days. We run at 11 or 12 right now, so we want to increase that to 50. Sufficient income to attract and retain employees, and sufficient resources to invest in technology. A couple of specific things we've had going on as an organization is, again, preparing ourselves for managed care in the individuals with developmental disabilities field. The system is moving toward managed care. There will be others making the decisions on our behalf, and we need to make sure that we are the provider of choice for those managed care companies. Part of that is we are in a good position to be able to do that because of the clinic operations that you've seen here and that we discussed here, which leads us to the second area. We're making some pretty significant investments in these clinical operations because the habilitative services that we provide to individuals with disabilities, they're the services that we provide, but the things that I talked about in terms of statistics of reduced infections, reduced hospitalizations, reduced falls, reduced emergency room visits are where the savings can come from in our field. So these clinics become extremely important in the operations that we have as an organization. Part of the thank yous and part of the things that I just want to convey, and some for the radio show, is that these services are open to the public. And I'm looking at Bill Bowler, and I'm almost right in tears because I'm standing here today. Last year, I think I was on 2 crutches or maybe 1 crutch. And part of what helped me was our physical therapy department. I'm a patient, had been a patient there after a pretty severe break of a leg and ski accident. And I can't begin to tell you. It's one thing to oversee the operation, but it's another to be a patient in the operation. And I can stand here today and highly recommend the services that are provided by our clinic settings. They do an outstanding job in terms of customer service. I have people that I see in the community that will talk about our physical therapist or our occupational therapists that are actually running alongside with some of their patients just to encourage their exercise and the things to support them. So really top-notch group of clinicians that we have at this organization, and I would encourage anyone to come and seek out our clinical services. They are open to the public, and we do have a tremendous amount of capacity within every single area and discipline that we have within our clinical operations. I'd like to thank the clinical team for actually hosting us here tonight. I'd also like to thank our board of directors. These are volunteers, 15 volunteers that are truly dedicated and supportive of the operations that we have. They ask the tough questions. They call us to task. Board meetings aren't always a comfortable place to be, and finance committee meetings really sometimes are not very comfortable places for us to be, as Betsy can attest to. But really, we have a great interactive board. Our board is always more than 50% family blood relatives of individuals with disabilities, which puts a great focus and a great insight into what we do as an organization, because we know our board truly cares about what we do as an organization. Mike, I'd like to thank you as well for your 3 years as board chair. And it is right, Barb. I did read his mind at one point in a meeting. It was kind of a scary place to go, but I did. And it's good. It's good to be on the same wavelength, especially with some of your board members, because then you kind of feel like you're in a good place. And I think we've been in a good place for the last several years, so I really appreciate all the volunteer work that you do for us and your commitment and dedication to the organization. I have most of my management team here, too, and I'm going to call you mine just this once because we are a great team. I feel like we have great partnerships with my senior leadership team and our executive management team, and the right people in the right places, and a very committed staff at all levels of the organization. So thank you to you all. And with that, I'm going to close. Thank you.
At this point in the Resource Center's annual meeting, outgoing directors Tom Glatz, Donna Henge, and Marlene Siriano were recognized. Elected to 2-year terms were Dawn Colombier, Mike Goldman, Lisa Goodell, and Elizabeth Williams. And elected as officers, Craig Colburn as treasurer, Marie Karuba as secretary, Richard Erickson as vice president, and Patty Purley as president for the next term.
Patty!
And welcome, Patty.
And it was a great pleasure. I'm going to go sit down.
Well, just thank you all very much for placing your trust in me to lead the Board of Directors for 2019-2020. It's a responsibility that I will take very seriously, but very optimistically. We've heard some wonderful reports. We know what a fabulous leadership, executive, and management teams we have. We know the staff is wonderful. We know where we stand in the community, so it's with optimism that I accept this position as president of the Board of Directors.
Today on Share the Vision, excerpts of the general membership meeting and election of the Resource Center, held Monday, June 3rd at the Resource Center's facility on East 2nd Street in Jamestown. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing the vision today.